Hello, and welcome to Discovering with Dr. Deb. We're new to podcasting, but I certainly hope this content is helpful to you. Over the course of the next couple seasons, I'll be sharing content about the Enneagram, trauma, and how living in this pandemic has added a lot of trauma to our lives, and how to move on from here. EMDR, eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing, and how it helps people move through and past their trauma, self-care, and more mental health stuff. We'll be spending the first season looking at the Enneagram and how you can use the Enneagram to learn more about yourself and why you do what you do. Discovering the Enneagram with Dr. Deb is next. Hello, and we're here today with my Ennea friend, Jason.
We've already used Ennea friend.
What can we do? Else. We could be your, let's see.
Ennea compadre.
Oh, I like that one. Okay.
We've done a different one every time.
Every time.
We? Yeah.
Ennea pal.
Ennea bud.
Ennea bud.
Ennea friend.
So this is Jason Gilmore, my Ennea compadre for today. Yes. And so we're diving into each of the numbers a little more specifically. Today we have two guests. We have Becky and Aaron. I'm going to let them introduce themselves here in just a minute. We're going to be looking at nines today.
Yeah.
So just for kind of a little intro, you might be a 9 if you'll do almost anything to avoid conflict. Is that true for both of you?
Oh, yes.
Such a 9 thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. 9s do not like conflict, confrontation, challenging situations, conversations, any of those things.
No.
Okay. If people seem to want you to be a little more decisive, you might be a 9. That might be you.
Absolutely.
9s often don't think of themselves as very important. Guys, goes back to that. Don't
I
assert
think they're
yourself.
very important.
Oh, that's...
You're all very important.
And that's why
you're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you.
That's why you're my Ennea amigo.
We'll have to use
we
that
will.
one.
We're
Okay,
going to write that
good.
one down. Let's see. 9s. Being outdoors is very soothing for a 9.
Very.
Nature is
You
just...
like outdoors.
I love outdoors.
Right. Let's see.
I don't. Really.
Often quietly stubborn when people put demands on them.
Very much so.
And they can be seen as passive aggressive sometimes. And then the last one, you could be a 9. It would feel selfish to spend a whole day doing whatever they want to do. Like they would probably never do that. Right.
Really?
So that's just kind of a little teaser about a 9.
Never.
And so, Becky, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers?
Okay, my name is Becky Pruitt, and I teach middle school. And I've been teaching for 16 years. And I'm married to a very, very strong 8.
A healthy 8.
A healthy 8.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Becky. And then this is Aaron.
I'm Aaron Hodges. I work for the Guidance Center and studying to be a licensed counselor. I, too, am married to a very strong 8, a healthy 8. Healthy.
Jessica, he said you're healthy. I like
And
that.
actually, you're not a 9.
I am not a 9.
You-
I am surrounded by 9s with 8 spouses.
Yes. So I'm
Yes.
also a 9, married to an 8. I'm married to a self-pres 8, I think. Or is he a 1-to-1?
I
I'm
think
not
he's
sure.
self-pres.
Self-pres, yeah.
Mr. Keith is a self-pres.
Yeah, he's an 8 with a 9 wing. So that's the bear, the protector. So
Yeah.
we're all 9s married to 8s. Not that that's like the common thing, but it just happened to be that way.
It just happened to be that way
Right.
today.
So today what we're going to do is just kind of interview or have a conversation with 9s for you guys to get a better feel for what it's like being a 9 and maybe give you a little insight. So one question I have is like, what is a myth that's out there about 9s that you guys can think of?
I would say that I am, although I seek peace, my mind is never at peace. Like it's never at ease. I'm constantly spinning, spiraling, trying to make everyone else around me peaceful. But I very rarely have the peace.
Right.
It's interesting.
That's a good point. I can relate to
relate to
that.
that?
Yes, I can. Aaron, what do you think?
I think some people may think that 9s don't get angry because we aren't always the best at expressing our anger.
But you
No.
do get angry?
I'm angry all the time.
I'm angry all the time.
I don't go like full out Hulk mode on people, but I'm
Right.
Bruce Banner.
See, threes do. Threes go Hulk.
Yeah.
Right.
We've had enough.
Right.
And our 8 spouses as well.
Right.
Ah, yes.
Right. I agree with that. Like it's just kind of there. And we don't forget things too. So it kind of sometimes Becky's like,
Is that
yeah.
is that a grudge thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Right.
Ugh.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's something challenging for you guys is if
Mhm.
somebody hurts you or it takes a long time to forget
It's
that or
hard
get
for
over that.
nines to. It's hard for us to put ourselves out there. Just anyway, in a safe and trusted relationship, it's hard to put ourselves out there. So if we feel like we've been slighted, or
You're really gonna back up.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. So how did you get into the Enneagram? How did you discover you're a 9?
Sure. Yeah, for me, it was I was listening to a podcast. They had a special guest on. His name is Ian Morgan Cron.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote one of the primers on the Enneagram called The Road Back to You. I read the book, started listening, trying to figure out which type I resonated with the most.
Right.
And 9, it became really clear really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Becky, what about you?
I was on Instagram. I followed this woman for a long time, and she had discovered the Enneagram, and she started posting about it often.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very intrigued. I've always been into like the personality test and stuff like that. Anything for self-growth, trying to, like find out more about me since I, don't really tend to know. And I talked to a friend about it. We ordered The Road Back to You and took the test.
Mhm.
Did not type as a 9, which is very common.
Very common.
Because
Mistype.
we don't know who we really are, and anyway, and then but once I looked at the core fears, I just became very, very intrigued with
Right.
it and could not find out enough.
Right. Yeah, I was initially mistyped as a 7. And so I would read things and I thought, man, I'm not a good 7. But then I did another assessment. It was like, it's because you're a 9,
Mhm.
But you mentioned like the core fears, the core desire, the core longing, and all of that. That's really the motivations that make you the number that you are. When I read the 9s, I was like, ding, 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 ding. That's it for me
Oh,
too.
yes.
It like resonates with you.
Mhm.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. So, what do you like most about being a 9?
I think for me, it's that I have the ability to see all sides of any situation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
therefore, people of all different types are, I befriend all types of people.
Well, they're drawn to you.
Yeah, they
They're
are.
drawn to people.
Mhm.
And I've really noticed that being a teacher for so long. But I just have this ability to see all sides. People feel that they can trust me and confide in me.
Mhm.
And I have very, very meaningful conversations.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I like most for sure. And
Right.
especially with kids. And I teach teenagers, probably the most awkward age too, middle school.
Right,
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it just seems that the ornerier the kid is, the more that they like me.
Uh-huh.
But I just have empathy for.
Right.
Mhm.
There's this quote that says, there's not a person you could not love if you didn't know. How does it go? If you knew everyone's story, how does it go? If you knew, there's not a person you couldn't learn to love if you knew their story.
Okay, yeah.
And
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
so true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good. What about you, Aaron?
Yeah, a lot of the same things for me. Just the way that 9s are typically perceived, as easygoing
Mhm.
or just pleasant to be around.
Mhm.
That's led to a lot of deep, meaningful relationships for me.
Mhm.
Yeah, because all the rest of us, in case you 9s didn't know, want to be more like the 9. I think every number at some point has said, man, I wish I could just be more like the 9.
Mhm.
I wish I could just be more easygoing, more, And y'all are like, oh no, you don't want to be like us.
No.
And I'm like, no, you don't want to be like us. It's funny.
And there's definitely a dark side to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The reason those things rise to the surface is because they come at a cost. Maybe we aren't as connected to ourselves as we need to be. So
Right.
outwardly, we're connecting more to other people.
Right. That's
Right.
interesting.
Yeah, it goes back to that, core motivations again about not asserting yourself. So if you're connecting with other people and those relationships are more important, then there's less attention on yourself,
Right.
And we don't like the attention,
No.
actually. So, no.
It's really hard for our nines today. They're
We're just over here all
they're like, no,
sweating.
is this audio only? No, it's going to be video too.
Yeah. So how do you perceive trauma as a 9? Aaron, we'll let you go first on this one.
Oh yeah, well I try really hard not to. I spend a lot of time
Trauma,
and
what
energy.
trauma?
So I repress.
Yeah.
I dissociate.
Yes.
I'm
we
trying
dissociate.
to cut off any painful memories,
Mhm.
any of those feelings, and
Mhm.
for a lot of 9s, narcotization.
Yep, that's the word. Mhm.
Yeah.
I didn't know the word
Yeah.
until I studied this, but it was like, oh, what is that?
Narcotization.
So what that
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
What that looks like is, whether it's an individual or a group or an activity, binging Netflix, going outdoors, whatever, you're distracting yourself
You're numbing out.
from
they
the
say
trauma
numbing
that
out.
you've experienced. You're distracting yourself.
Mhm.
So.
Doing anything else but thinking about
Right.
what it is that you don't want to think about.
Right. And honestly, 9s think of even just conflict as trauma. Like,
oh, yes.
like things that are not traumatic to other numbers are trauma for a 9.
Because see, 3s go to 9 in conflict.
Ooh, that's right.
And we were, so I
Mhm.
very much relate to what you're saying, Erin,
Mhm.
because that's when something's going on that's traumatic in my life, I shut down.
Right.
And I
Right.
hide.
Right.
I don't want
Right.
to. I don't want to speak. I don't want to talk. I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
So I can relate to that.
Yeah. Well, now you have a word for it.
Yes, it's a big long
It
one.
is.
Narcotization.
Narcotization.
Um,
That's so fun.
Becky, what about you? How do you perceive trauma as a 9? Or does that resonate with you a lot too?
Yes, it
Yeah.
does. In the moment, like if there's a crisis,
Uh-huh.
I am very, very good. I'm a rock. I am the one that everyone's going to depend on. I'm a fixer. I want to fix what I can. Then after it's over is when I will completely disengage. I withdraw, and that's when I fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, napping is cliche for a 9, but I mean, I will
Yes, it is.
sleep
Yeah.
to literally recharge.
I've heard this about you.
Yes.
That you literally just can go to bed, and then when you wake up, you're like, okay, I'm better.
Yes. My dad had a very severe heart attack a few years ago. And I'm very, very close to my mom and dad. And, he was in ICU, had to have emergency surgery. Now, my fear is losing my parents. It's crazy. But anyway, so this was like my worst nightmare, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you guys, I was like so strong. I was the one my mom was leaning on and everything. Well, after
You just went and napped it out.
he was okay, I had to decompress and nap in a friend's closet at school on my planning period because I was so,
Wow.
Overwhelmed.
yes.
Right.
But in the moment,
Right.
I want to take care of what I can, fix what I can, and just try to keep everyone around me happy.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's good. I can relate.
Is
I
good.
can relate to all of this. So it's not been anything that.
Because when I nap, I feel guilty that I'm not working.
Oh yeah, we don't feel guilty. No, we do not. So what is it that makes you guys a 9? It goes back to those core motivations. I know we talked about like not asserting yourself and kind of avoiding and withdrawing a little bit. What do you think it is that really kind of is there something significant from your childhood that you think that led to that or what?
I definitely know what mine is.
Okay.
as I knew, what a 9 was, and like, okay, what has made me feel unimportant in life? I could go back to defining moments.
Right.
Now, of course, because I'm a 9, I feel guilty admitting, because it was not hard. It was not ill intent on anyone's part. But I have an older brother. He's like 9 years older than me. He was extremely intelligent, very, very well liked. He was not only by his peers and our teachers and people within the community, but our family. He was very much a favorite, so to speak, and he is complete opposite of me. And I felt like I was never quite up to par. I was never quite good enough. And our grandmother, who I absolutely adore, and she loved me with all of her heart. But I mean, she made a comment that is a defining moment in my life, that my brother was the poster grandchild, that he was the model grandchild.
Right.
Like comments like that.
Right.
And I was just a very average student. I was more interested in socializing, so I didn't have the academic, anyway, just little moments.
Sure.
But it was definitely,
Yes.
but he also tended to cause, some disruption within our family at times. And I always felt like I needed to make up for where he lacked. And I would try to right his wrongs.
Yes. Yes.
So
Very
definitely.
Yeah.
That's interesting how 9s here, from what you're saying, is that 9s hear things very personally, I guess, when someone says something.
We don't want people to think we're sensitive, but we're pretty sensitive.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Don't let that out.
Yeah, don't let that
Just
cat
keep
out of the
that
bag.
here between us.
That's interesting.
What about you, Aaron?
For me, I don't think it was one defining moment. If it was, I've definitely repressed that.
Right? Like
You've
a
done a
good
good
night
job.
would?
Like a
I've
good
narcotized
9-9.
that. I've disassociated. I've done all the 9 things with
Yeah.
that. So it wasn't one big moment. I think, I grew up in a very supportive household, and it could be any number of
Sure.
things along the way. I lost a parent at an early age. There was some blending of families that took place. There was transitions as far as where we lived and stuff. But I think probably the biggest factor for me might just be self-talk. Things would happen, words would be said,
Right.
and then my interpretation of those things. And I resonate a lot with 3s. You probably setting the bar at a certain level for myself that I didn't feel like I could live up to.
I'm resonating with what you guys are saying right now, because that's my.
Yeah.
That's
I
one of
like
my
how you
lines.
said, though, things happen and then your interpretation of it. And we have to remember, too, it's a childhood message, so it's interpreted from a child's perspective.
True.
So, if you think of it as an adult, you would go, well, I probably wouldn't have interpreted it the same way as an adult, but that's how you interpret it as a child, which is what makes it a core motivation, So, yeah, and it's not always that something bad happened to you, like I had a good childhood, you had a good childhood, but it's how we interpreted events or things that people may have said or things like that. Yeah. Anything else you wanted to add to that? I didn't want to cut you off.
I feel really connected to you right now, Jason. So
I feel connected to you. This is great.
This is great.
Could you trade us places? And get the next one of them? I'm just kidding. This is my good friend Aaron. I've known Aaron so long.
Okay, so I'm gonna skip down here. This one here is this is a hard one because this is kind of putting ourselves out there. So what would you say you need from friends or loved ones in your life?
I definitely need to know that I'm enough. Am I doing enough? Am I, am I contributing enough? Am I doing enough to keep everyone happy? And
Keep the peace.
Yeah, and affirmation. I mean, I need words mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
So I need to be told,
Yeah.
that I'm appreciated.
Right. And can you tell them what you need, or?
Oh, that's hard.
I can of the closest to me. Yes, but that is very difficult.
Isn't it though?
And it takes a long time to get there.
Yes.
Yes.
You have to be
Because-
super safe.
Yes.
You have to feel super secure,
Yes.
super safe to be able to say those things.
Yes, because what I internally am telling myself is I'm not important enough to matter.
Right. Right.
This doesn't matter
Right.
because really I'm not important enough.
Right. And often we don't want to put anybody else out.
No.
So we'll just.
Because you view that as conflict even.
Yes.
We do.
Yes.
It's
like
crazy.
when my daughter was little, my mom and dad, as I've said before, they are so close to me and I'm so close to them. But when I needed a break at the worst, I would not ask for one because I was putting them out.
Yeah, and you didn't want to
No.
face that conflict.
Mhm.
Or
Just
potential.
simple things that most people would not think of is
Right.
very difficult for me.
And they wouldn't perceive it as conflict either.
No.
Right.
No.
Yep. What about you, Mr. Aaron?
Well,
Because this is and we're married to 8.
Right. I have to give a lot of credit to my 8 wife.
Good.
Because I think what I needed was someone to kind of pull me out of my comfort zone a little bit.
8s are good at that.
She is very good at that. She helped me begin to reframe conflict. Conflict can be constructive for relationships.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be destructive. The
Right.
relationship isn't
Right.
going to be over
Yeah.
if we have a knockdown, drag out,
Right.
Yeah.
it can actually be very healthy.
Right.
And so, yeah, 8s and 9s, I like the comparison. I think it's Ian Cron, author, wrote back to you that says you have the 8 who is an unstoppable force and you have the 9 who is an immovable object. And so there's bound to be some conflict, and it's just
Right.
how do I reframe that
Right.
to benefit my relationships?
That's good.
So how do you guys tap into your soft side?
Wait, do you have a soft side?
I think our soft side could be the
You
problem.
look offended.
Here's the deal. I feel like 9s.
Self is soft.
I know.
Like
That's,
I need
that
to
was sarcasm. I feel like 9s are very soft.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't you think? You're a 9.
Yes. And sometimes, I don't know. I think sometimes we get taken advantage of for it, actually.
Yes.
So it's kind of like you can't just always, let people see that. But it's super hard not to.
So you
It's-
hide that sometimes?
We avoid it. I mean, it's kind of like, you just don't respond.
9's word of the day, avoid.
Yes.
Avoid everything.
We do. Yeah, we just kind of do. I guess a better question is, how do you tap into your strong side?
Yeah.
Or I don't know. What's another
How do you
good
be
word?
more aggressive's not the right word, but
Assertive.
Maybe
assertive
Yeah.
is the right word. How do you how can you find yourself in a position where you're becoming more assertive? Because you explained earlier about your husband, and we were talking, and you said that you have had to learn, being married to an 8, to be a little more assertive.
Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
In order to get to be heard sometimes, I have to speak louder than I normally would. I'm much more bold with him than anyone in my life, because obviously that's my safest relationship.
Right.
But
Or if you don't want to go to NASCAR on the weekend.
say I'm not going to, yes. But I also, he has really helped me stand up for myself. Now, I'm very good about standing up for others.
Other people, right.
Oh.
I'm very quick to stand up for
Right.
someone else, and that 8 wing will come out real strong.
Right.
But myself, again, it's like It wasn't that big of a deal. It's not that important, you know, but he has taught me, hey, you've been wronged. Stand up for yourself. And
Okay, so here's something interesting.
Mhm.
You're talking about like standing up for justice or standing up for
Mhm.
people who can't stand up for themselves or whatever. That's really a 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's got a lot of 1 in it.
It's an 8 thing too.
It is an 8, but
Mhm.
also, so interestingly enough, Becky said that she kind of, you know, splits to both, you know.
Right.
So the justice and the fairness and all that, you don't stand a chance because you got it on the 8 side and you got it on the 1 side.
Right. But I mean, in what you do, working with middle school kids, and some of those kids, they need you to advocate for them.
Yes,
so that's a good fit for you.
definitely.
For sure.
Yeah. What about you, Mr. Aaron?
Yeah, I think assertiveness is
Mm-hmm.
just key. You have to figure out how to do that in a healthy way. You know, for me, it used to be, I'm not mad, not mad, not mad, not mad, and then boom, explosion.
Mad.
Yeah.
Like really long fuse,
Yeah.
and then out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and it's not even like something terrible happened. It was just like the final straw.
Right.
Mhm.
And so learning how to make known what I do want, what is important to me, sooner rather than later, and you know, having those conversations really helps develop that healthy assertiveness.
For sure. So 9s can be seen as passive,
Yes.
aggressive.
Yes.
Passive aggressive.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So do you guys have examples that you could share of like what it's like to be passive aggressive?
So first off, we don't like to admit that.
I know. That's why I first said
No.
passive.
I know. I
And
like
then
that.
added the final word.
Yeah.
Aggressive.
I'm honestly embarrassed about it, but so if someone has hurt my feelings in a very close relationship, I will intentionally pull way back and say maybe we have a routine where we get together every Saturday. I will intentionally not reach out to that person,
Oh.
wait for them to reach out to me
You're
first.
going to have to ask me to go to Target.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
What is there something that see the people on the other end a lot of times
Don't know.
don't know what
No,
you're thinking.
No.
You're right.
You're
it's
not.
protective
Right.
mode, though.
Right.
It's to
Yeah.
protect myself. You know, like, you've hurt me. I was very vulnerable with you,
Mhm.
and I have been, and it's just like kind of a little betrayal. And so you're going to have to kind of,
I touched that hot stove. I'm not touching it again. Yeah.
you're going to have to come get me.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's like a test.
It
Oh, it
is
is
a
a test. That's
It's
a
like
good
a
way to look
test.
at
So
It's a
so
test.
I've never thought of it that way.
That's a good point.
yeah. So for someone like my wife, an 8, might say something pretty inflammatory out of anger,
Right.
trying to, mask that vulnerability or whatever, but she's testing to see, hey, do we have a safe enough relationship where you're not going to overreact? Are you going to sit with me and be with me in my anger? It's a test. For 9s, it's, do we have the kind of relationship where you're going to notice that something is wrong,
Yes.
and are you going
Yes.
to initiate?
That's a great
Yes.
point.
You should know. That's what I have a
Yes.
9 friend that says, you should know when I'm upset.
That's
Mhm.
right.
And I don't. Because I'm oblivious.
You said it
Yeah,
really
but that's-
well. That's
yeah.
exactly
Aaron,
right.
it was perfectly said.
Yes,
That's
it was-
exactly how I
Yes.
feel.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. You should
You
know.
should know.
You should
Yeah.
know this.
And like, this is a test.
Yes.
Yes. How much is this affecting you?
But the other part about it too is like we sense if we say something, we don't know how it's going to be received, so we'd rather not.
Because
So-
you avoid conflict at all costs.
Right.
all costs.
So it's kind of that two-edged sword
Wow,
right there.
it is.
Yeah.
But
Right.
it's like you read in the book, you might be a 9 if you don't feel like your presence matters.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Does
right.
my presence matter to you?
right.
Mm.
And how much?
Right. For you to notice that I'm not happy or something's not Copacetic.
Yeah.
As a 9, I love the word copacetic.
Yeah.
I like that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that.
And if you
I'm gonna
really
use it.
know me,
Right.
then you would know something's not right.
Right.
With me.
Right.
Wow. So
Because 9s want to be seen and heard and valued for who they are.
they do.
And so it's like, do you see us?
So what about this characteristic that 9s can be viewed as sloth or just lazy or slow? Because
I take exception to that.
okay, so I agree with that because I know you and I agree with that. But I know some 9s and I am like, hurry up. Like even when they're like even on the computer, and it's not that they are slow in skill, like they have the skills, they're just taking their time. And I'm like, come on, we could have had 3 more things done by now, you know? That's probably just the 3 in me though, being like, let's go, chop chop, you know? So do you
The
see,
3 in
do you
you
see
is
that?
saying, people are watching.
Yes. Yes. Hurry the heck up.
I have no concept of time.
Really?
No, exactly what you described is me. I mean, I have no concept of time at all. I'm perpetually late. I'm a procrastinator. I'm yes. You would not like working with me. It would be very bad.
I think I would. We would just have to know each other, wouldn't we?
I mean, I get things done. I'm very successful. You know,
Wait. I've heard this before. You get things. You get things done.
I do.
But when you need to,
When you
like
want
to.
when you want
Yeah,
to.
you need
Okay.
Yeah, so my daughter we were talking last night. She's a 6. She's in law school. And she's like, how do these people like take off for spring break and we have a brief due on Monday? Or they went to watch the SEC championship. Like, when are they going to write the brief? And I said, they're all 9s. They'll get up at 3 in the morning and have it done by 6.
No sweat.
Yes.
That's funny.
But isn't that true?
I think so. When I think of sloth or laziness as being like a descriptor for 9s, what I'm thinking of is more like self-neglect.
Yeah.
I'm lazy to my own needs and my own emotions.
Because
and
you're
all
trying
that.
to take care of everybody else.
Yeah, if you tell, I'm just sitting around waiting on you to tell me what's important for me to finish.
That's a good point.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 9s merge.
Yeah, you
Right.
chameleons.
They
Right.
merge
Chameleons.
with
right.
the people in their
Closest to
lives or
us.
the groups
Uh-huh.
they're associated with or whatever. So if it's important to you, yeah, I'm gonna get it done.
Wow.
Very true. And the other side of that too is like, it depends which way you wing, but 9s with a 1 wing, I think tend to be a little more introverted. So that energy, we kind of get drained. So
You get
that,
depleted a little more.
depleted. So that kind of feeds into that whole
So
sloth
so
mindset.
how do 9s, and I'm asking you too because you're a 9, but how do you as 9s like what
Take
do
care
you,
of yourself. Self-care.
Yeah, what do you
Self-care.
do for self-care?
Yeah. So my 8 husband makes me do self-care. Like,
Yeah? What
seriously.
does that involve?
oh, facials, massages.
And you feel guilty for doing those things?
I've learned not to,
Okay, that's
but
good.
I did used to. Yes,
Mhm.
yes, very much so.
Do you
very
do
much so.
facials, Aaron? Facials often?
I don't.
What do you do for self-care?
Go to the barber shop.
Yes. I can relate to that.
No, seriously
I
though,
love a good
I
barber.
stop doing things. I have to stop. Doing things is a way for me to distract from probably what I need to be thinking about
Right.
and
Okay.
doing
Right.
all of those things.
Right.
So just stop
Like doing things for people or doing things.
doing
Just
things
to
to keep
accomplish
myself
things.
busy.
Right.
It's that
right.
narcotization.
Yes. Such a big word I've learned today.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting.
So how does it make you feel when others perceive you with some of those more negative characteristics, like the procrastinator or the sloth or things like that. Does that bother you? Like, I don't like the word procrastinator. I tend to think of it more like I just choose not to do it until I'm ready to do it.
Yeah.
Instead of procrastinating.
For sure.
And then when they say like 9s know themselves the least, I'm like, I don't really like that. But I focus more on other people than on myself, because it goes back to that, like, 9s don't think of themselves as important.
Yes.
But what's that like for you guys?
I don't like the word lazy at all, because I'm not
Right.
lazy. That one's offensive to me.
Yeah.
I mean, because,
Yeah.
Right.
I get things
'Cause I'm a hard
done,
worker.
Jason.
Yes, dadgummit, I'm a hard worker. I'm sorry. I
get
need to
things
apologize
done.
to Becky. I have not meant to. Right. Now I've offended her.
No.
She's gonna retract next time I want to go to Target. I'm gonna be like, hey, do you and Bobby want to go to Target? She's gonna be like,
No.
2 days.
No,
Not gonna
it's
respond
good.
like
It's
that.
good that you're initiating. You
That's
passed
right.
the test.
Oh, okay.
You passed the test.
This is hilarious.
But-
I'm learning so much about the 9s.
But I am not lazy.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
at all. Although a little nap will recharge me.
Yeah.
It is a planned, scheduled nap, because I have to make sure everything else is done and everyone else is
Everyone
happy.
happy.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
And I have told, I've learned this about myself just recently, and this is so crazy, but I enjoy being sick because it is an excuse. It's a real problem.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I no longer
It
have.
gives you permission.
Yes,
That,
I don't.
that nobody will say,
Yes.
oh, well, she
And-
should have been here, done
Yes.
this or
Yes,
done that.
and
Yeah.
I don't have to take care of other people for
Right.
just that day that
Right.
I have strep throat.
Right.
I can
Right.
just.
Dadgum, I think I might like being
Sickness.
sick too.
Yeah.
I
Gives me a
can't say
reason to
I'm
be
going to
unselfish.
opt to be
Yes.
sick.
You're
Yeah.
exactly right,
Yeah.
Aaron.
What did you
Yeah.
say?
Sickness gives me a reason to be selfish.
Yes.
Like a valid
That's
Yes.
profound. That's profound.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. What about you?
Oh, we've talked about.
Wait, here I am praying for you to be well, and you're like, no, don't pray for me to be
Don't
well.
pray for me.
I need at least 2 more days of this.
I need an antibiotic.
Okay, carry on.
Yeah. So we talked about paths.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
so 9s are connected to 3s and to
Threes
and
6s,
sixes.
right? My particular brand of 9
Right.
looks more like a 3
Yeah, it really
in a
does.
lot of ways.
Right.
So the lazy, I take exception to, because I am constantly trying to do things, A, to distract myself from myself,
Mhm.
but B, trying to earn belonging to whatever group,
Right.
my
Right.
coworkers, my, whatever it is.
Right.
So it's not lazy in the sense that most people think it's lazy.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Do you guys have like a 9 saying? I know it wasn't one of the questions I sent you, but I have a 9 saying that my husband will remind me of. So here's my 9 saying. If it's up to me, it's not up to me.
I like that one.
It's like, yeah, so if it's up to me, then I'm going to delegate it to somebody else to make a decision, because I just, there are other variables, I'm probably not driving, so where do you want to drive? I mean, it's just like, whatever it might be. But that's kind of my saying. Do you guys have anything like that, or not really?
I do.
Yeah?
We haven't gotten to wings yet,
Right?
so I think if it's okay, I might
Yeah, jump into
save
there.
mine
Okay.
until we talk about wings.
No, go ahead. We can
Yeah,
just
so I'm a-
transition to
Yeah,
wings.
let's talk about wings, because
Yeah.
you're a 9, so the wings are going to be the 8 or the 1.
Right.
And just for clarification, I know we had lots of questions about this, like, oh, I'm an 8 wing too. No,
right,
you're not.
right.
Your wings are on the either side of your number.
Right.
And I have a good friend that told me one time, you fly better with both wings.
Right.
Yes.
So
Right.
if you pull the healthy out of both sides, that helps you become a more complete whole
Mhm.
person.
Mhm.
So 8s and 1s would be your wing.
Right.
So
I'm an 8 wing.
You're a 9 with an 8 wing.
Yes.
Okay.
So my saying is, what is my 8 wing going to do that my 9 is going to have to clean up?
make up for.
That's such a good one.
That's
Yes.
good.
Can you give us an example of that? Because I love it.
Oh man,
There's probably a lot.
there are a lot of examples.
Really.
I'm not sure I can give you just one.
Okay.
But just, so I have the calm and kind of pulled back, easygoing nature
Yeah.
of the 9.
Yeah.
Paired with a little bit of the 8's assertiveness and confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And so I may
And
not
leadership.
I may not
probably.
even-
Yeah.
Right.
I may not even realize it. Something that I say flippantly might initiate conflict that I'm working so hard to avoid.
Right.
So I've made a mess now. Inadvertently,
Right.
I've made a mess and I have to clean it up
Right.
because I'm a 9 and I can't.
No, because we
Deal.
want harmony. We want
Yes.
peace in that.
Ted, I gotta fix this now.
That's a good one.
But are you stubborn and do you, just no matter what, no matter the mess you're having to clean up, do you justify what the 8 wing did? Because that is very much me.
Interesting.
So then you've got the 8 wing too that you're dominant,
Mhm.
more dominant with.
Yeah. So do you feel that
Yeah,
way?
am I stubborn? I feel like I have to say yes. I feel like I would get in trouble if I didn't say yes.
It's funny.
I
I'm
am stubborn, yes. And I just think, now I've opened up this can of worms, and
Mhm.
so we're here now. So let's figure out how to make this conflict constructive so
Right.
that it can strengthen the relationship.
And see,
Yeah.
you're like, no, I'm standing behind the decision I made, even if I did hurt your feelings.
Yes, because I'm pretty stubborn, But I want to convince,
You want them to understand why you had to be
Yes.
so assertive.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
And touching on what we were talking about before, I want you to notice that I don't typically get this way.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
It took
can
a
you throw
lot.
me a bone?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rarely do you see this side of me.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. So the 8 wing kind of puts yourself out there then, doesn't it? Yes. See, I don't fly with that 8 wing very often.
You're more 1.
I'm more 1.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm more 1 wing.
So what's the difference? What would you say the major differences are between, because both of them kind of have
Mhm.
shared a little bit about winging to their 8.
I just don't, it's that strong kind of leadership stuff. And the 1 wing is the more inner critic, and the 1 wing is the more, fewer gray areas, more black and white
And
thinking.
the perfectionism and all
Mhm.
those sorts of things.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it's, that kind of plays more into my 9 than the 8 does.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to just put you on the spot and ask you one last thing. Is there something that you guys would like for the rest of the world to know about your 9-ness? Because we've asked you some very direct questions
Mhm.
today, things that we've initiated and really been intentional about because they relate so so closely to you. But what do you want the rest of the world to know about you as a 9? And I really think all 3 of you should answer.
I would say that I really am authentic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just, this isn't a front. I'm not just agreeing with so many people to be a pleaser. It genuinely is authentic.
Oh.
My goal is to understand
Mm-hmm.
and to empathize and to just keep the peace, and it's very genuine.
I love that.
I do too.
Yeah, I love
I've never
that.
one time thought you weren't authentic.
Thank you, Jason.
I haven't.
That means a lot
I've
to
known
me.
I've known you a while, and I've always thought she
Mhm.
is so genuine,
Thank you.
in what you do. So just so that you know, that's how it's perceived.
Okay.
Okay, you're one of
Do you
your
want to go
turns.
next, or do you want me
I'm
to?
still thinking.
Okay. I think for me, even though we're known as indecisive, and a lot of times our response is I don't care. Like, where do you want to go eat? I don't care. It's not that we don't care.
It's that you don't have a preference.
We don't have a preference.
And those are two different things.
Yeah, and we're really okay with whatever you would want to do, because we really do focus more on other people. And truthfully, like if my husband says, let's go here, and if I don't really want to go there, I will say, oh, I'd rather not. What about something else? Or I'll say, give me a couple of choices and I can choose. So that indecisiveness and the I don't care sometimes gets perceived like we're just totally disengaged and checked out and don't care.
Yeah, it's not
but
that you don't care. It's
care.
that you really don't have a preference. You're like, I'll do what you.
And we're really kind of okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that we're not thinking about ourselves, but we're really okay with.
Because it's so different than many of the other numbers that do care.
Right. So I mean, that's kind of one thing I think
or do have a preference.
Isn't really understood about nines.
Yeah. That's good.
Have you thought anything yet?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think if you want to have a deep, lasting relationship with a 9, it's really simple. Be a good listener.
So good.
It's so hard for us to speak up. It's so hard for us to speak up. It's hard for us to figure out what to say, first of all, like what we want and what we need. But when we do.
When you do speak, listen. Wow.
That's so good.
And I would even add, kind of pay attention to what you say to a 9. Because sometimes when we do put ourselves out there and we get a response that's kind of a brush off or something, we don't forget that. It's kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Which is why we struggle putting ourselves out there.
Note to self, I won't say that again.
Right? Well, we'll all be honest with you. We'll tell you.
This has been great.
It has been great. I've loved it. It's kind of like fun just having. I can't wait for the 3s just for you to have this experience. It's going to be fun.
Has this been cool today?
Yes, it has been. I appreciate you joining us today, Erin and Becky. Thank you so much for giving the world like a good, I don't know, kind of an inside peek at what it's like being a 9. So thank you for coming. And if we do this again, we may holler back at you. Sounds good.
Bring it on.
All right. So next session or next episode, we'll be looking at the 1s because we're doing 8s, 9s, 1s, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we'll see you next time. If this content has been helpful to you, I'd appreciate it if you would please rate the podcast, post it, and share it on social media. And also post a review. If you'd like to get in contact with me, my phone is 479-561-7600 or email Dr. Deborah at anchoredhopecounseling.net or Dr. Deborah at drdebfordoctors.com. Our website at www.anchoredhopecounseling.net has some useful information, and you can also reach out to me through the website. Remember, you are enough just the way you are, and you are loved.